morning everyone. As Dr. Koshi Varghese just now introduced, today we will be talking about construction management. I understand all of you have been through talks or lectures covering the various functional areas in construction in terms of design, whether it's geotechnical structures, environmental, water resources and so on. Now if you really look at the purpose of the design is finally to put up a facility, right? What do basically civil engineers do? They create facilities. So that's why nowadays we call them constructed facilities. So there are different phases you go through in this process of creating facilities. First, someone has to have a need for that facility. Someone may want to put up a hotel. Someone wants to put up a factory. Someone wants to build a house, right? So there's a need that's felt by someone, or it may be a bridge for the general public or roads and so on. And then you go through a conceptual design of the facility to see whether it is viable to build this, whether it is financially you have the money to build this facility, whether the returns justify building the facility, and then you do a detailed design. That's where all this various lot of courses that you will be doing as a part of your BTech, you will be looking at this methodologies for design, and then you actually construct the facility, right? So what we are going to be talking about is this step where we construct the facility, and once the facility is constructed, then there is a startup and handing over to the owner who goes ahead and operates the facility, whether it's occupying your house or running a factory or running a hotel or whatever it is. Now this process, if you really see, and if you look at the role that civil engineers play in this various phases, though in your BTech curriculum you will be mostly learning design, but less than 20 or 25% people are actually involved in design. I would say 70 to 80% of the people finally end up implementing, executing and running construction projects in terms of implementing them. So now this involves a lot of skills in terms of managing projects, and we will see what are all the aspects that we cover as a part of this process. So if you look at the construction industry as a whole, when you're talking about construction industry, it is the various sectors including design, construction, consulting, all these various entities, suppliers to the industry. I will come to the various participants in the industry. If you look at the size of the industry in India, it is only next to agriculture in terms of the GDP component, in terms of its impact on the economy, in terms of people employed. If you look at all these aspects together, construction is the second largest industry after agriculture. Now if you compare the IT sector compared to the construction industry, it would be a very small part compared to the construction industry, and it employs over 2 crores. There are various statistics available in the literature. Anywhere from 2 to 3 crores has been mentioned as the number of people involved in construction. When I am talking about people, I am talking about starting from engineers through supervisors and foremen to craftsmen and unskilled laborers. Okay. Now if you see the Indian construction industry, if you see the proportion of these people, there are a lot of unskilled laborers involved in construction, and all of you would have noticed a lot of the Indian construction activities are very labor oriented, very labor based. Many reasons for that. One is labor is quite cheap in the country in terms of how much you pay them. There are a lot of plenty of labor availability. That's what people thought till a few years back. Today we go to most construction sites, even getting skilled or unskilled laborers has become a big problem, let alone engineers. But we have this high proportion of unskilled laborers also involved in the Indian construction industry. An interesting aspect of the Indian construction industry, if you see, is the number of women laborers involved, especially in the unskilled laborers part of the people. Now women laborers would account anywhere from 20 to 30% of the labor force, which is very high. If you look at internationally, if you looked at the developed countries, women laborers percentage is very low, it's somewhere maybe 2 to 3%. Even in many of the other developing countries also, if you see, the proportion of women laborers is very low. So we have, when you are implementing projects, you go to any construction site, you will see a lot of women on construction sites. So that brings in unique challenges in the Indian construction context in terms of managing projects and so on. Now looking at the as I told you, it's construction has a major role in the GDP in the Indian economy, and it's been growing. Actually this figure stops at 2004, but after that it has grown up even more steeply, because the government is putting in a lot of money into infrastructure. Our economy has been growing quite aggressively. What's the growth rate of our economy? 8 point some percent, right? So that's quite a, for an economy of our size and that growth rate, it's a huge increase in volume, and the construction also has been growing, and the proportion of GDP now, I think it's more than the next slide shows the proportion shows, which is about 6.2% of the gross domestic product of the country is going into construction. Today it's more than 7%. If you see the latest figures, it is more than 7%. So that's a considerable part of the economy. Now if you look at the construction markets all over the world, the reason why I am putting up all these slides is to show you the opportunity that is there in the construction domain. You have another lecture coming up on infrastructure, where probably they will get into more details onto which aspects of infrastructure have how much opportunity. But if you see the high growth, this picture has try to conceptualize the size of the construction market in the various countries of the world, then in terms of the risk involved in implementing these projects, and in terms of the growth potential in these various countries. So if you see the red circles here, they are all India, China, Brazil, Mexico. These are the these are the countries that are driving growth all over the world in terms of economies growing, and all these countries have been classified as high growth, high risk economies from the construction market point of view. And if you see the China, of course, has got considerable amount of construction going on. We had the Three Gorges Dam, we have had the Olympic facilities being built, and the huge infrastructure deployment also that's taking place. Even in our country this has been happening, especially in the last 10 years. So if you see, we are considered as a high growth, high risk thing, and along with all this emerging economies. And now if you look at the advanced countries like US, Germany, Japan, Italy and so on, if you see, all of them are low growth, low risk. Okay, they have systems in place, so people over a number of years things have fallen in place, and the risk perceived is low, but also the growth is low, right? So the opportunities are in India, China, Brazil and Mexico, South Africa. These are the countries where the real opportunities are in future. Okay, now let's look at construction projects when we implement projects. As I started off, the various participants in the implementation of a construction project. Now without an owner, there is no project, right? Someone has to have a need for a facility to be built. Now the owner could be government, the owner could be an individual building a house, the owner could be a company putting up a factory or putting up a hotel, or the government putting up roads, bridges, water treatment facilities, dams and so on, right? So a lot of the infrastructure is government owned and government driven, though people nowadays are talking about new ways of deploying infrastructure like using public private